You would like to do what?
250K.
250K. Okay, cool. 250,000. Would you be happy with that? Would that be a good year?
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. See, that's the excitement. That's important. And the reason that's important is because real estate is a set of tools and habits. Tools and habits. You don't need special skills. There are no other requirements other than having the right tools, having the right habits. But there's a third element to it, and that's mindset. Having the desire, the drive, and the motivation. When you react like that, oh yes, fuck yeah, that'd be awesome, I want that. That's the juice you're gonna need. Because you can learn the systems. You can learn the mechanics of the business. But you either have that fire in the belly or you don't. Without it, you're screwed. It's almost impossible to achieve the success. With it, it all just becomes a set of steps. Okay, so 250,000. How many homes approximately would you have to sell to reach that?
I believe maybe 30.
20? Okay.
No, 30.
Sorry, 30?
30, yes.
30. Okay, so 30 transactions will get you there. So give or take, that's about 3 a month, give or take, between 2 and 3 a month.
Right.
Do you feel that's doable?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What do you feel right now is the biggest obstacle that's preventing you, that is the barrier that you're hitting that's preventing you from doing 2 to 3 transactions a month? What is the biggest problem?
The biggest problem is I believe I need to master the listing presentation.
Okay. So mastering listing presentation. So if you feel like you really got the presentation down, or if you sit down in front of the seller and you want that listing and they're motivated, you got it.
Definitely.
Okay, so listing presentation. Which part of listing presentation is the most challenging part?
Let's say
what is the hardest part? Okay, so there are several components to a listing presentation. That's the pre-listing presentation, where they get your resume, you qualify them, you prepare the CMA. Then there is the introduction plus the first part, where you just kind of figure out what they're trying to do. Then there's the actual presentation, and there's getting the contract signed. Where do you feel is the biggest?
The actual.
The actual presentation, where you're chatting with the seller about getting the property sold,
yes.
Showing them what you're going to do for them, all that. Okay. All right, cool. So if we could take care of that in the next 30 minutes, would that be time well spent?
Yes.
Yeah. If I can give you enough tips and strategies and enough tools to incorporate in your presentation, so that if you just practice them and use them, you're going to be a presentation rock star.
Definitely.
Okay,
That's
so
fun.
do you want to focus on that? Would that be good?
That would be perfect.
All right, cool. So let's do that. When I started amassing business, I had the crisis. Remember the story? I was homeless and all that. I started working my ass off, prospecting, working expireds, doing all that stuff. I went on a lot of listing presentations, but I was still not getting a whole lot of listings at first.
Okay.
And I had always thought, I'm good. I got this. I'm suave. I'm awesome. Until I sat down with 3 other agents, and we were all the same. All the same. We're all saying pretty much the same thing. You can replace the one company name with the other, same shit. And the seller's like, oh, that's fascinating, So I had to rework my listing presentation. That, in addition to changing the systems that generate those leads, had the biggest impact on my bottom line. So knowing that that's my weakness is important, because leads will not pay your mortgage.
Definitely.
Getting leads is important, but being able to convert those leads into appointments and listings is really where the money is, having good listings. Without a good presentation, you're screwed. None of that effort, none of that follow-up, none of that matters. So that's a good subject to talk about. All right, so let me give you a few points. The number one critical element to it, other than the mindset, and you've heard me talk a lot about it, you probably read my book, so you know what I'm talking about. We're going to skip that part. Let's assume that's all in place. Number one mistake agents make when it comes to good listing presentation is that they're talking to the wrong people. Very often, the problem is not the presentation itself. The problem is the audience, is the people you talk to.
Right.
Okay? So your skill, first and foremost, is in one, generating good quality leads, which I call the high probability leads. That's important. Where do most of our leads come from right now, William?
Basically, they come from referrals and some expired.
Expired and referrals, good. What I would suggest is set up maybe 4 good lead generation funnels. that you can reliably and predictably generate leads. Expired, fantastic. Referrals, outstanding. I would add to it FSBOs, maybe open house, maybe Facebook. That's it. That's all you need.
Right.
And then working these regularly, daily, so that you have enough leads coming through the funnel. So that's good. So you do expired, you do referrals. Or you're on the right track. I would add maybe 2 more funnels to that.
Okay. I also do those because I was using your system, like 4 FSBOs I'm following up with. Yeah, 4 of them.
Okay. So you're doing all that. Good.
And also, I do Facebook ads. All.
Excellent.
But those, as you said, the long, term leads.
The lead funnels like Facebook are not bad if you do it well. But like with everything else, you need to know how to do it. Otherwise, you're going to burn through a lot of cash and not get anything. But if you do, you're going to get some leads. Some of them will be buyers. Some will be absolute tire kickers, no good. And some of them will be very long term. Same with door knocking.
Right.
Door knocking is great. I used to do it a lot. I spent my first 2 years doing nothing but door knocking. And I got leads, but many of them will be like, yeah, we'll be ready when my husband retires 2 years from now. So that requires a lot of nurturing. And so that's why I recommend always have also funnels that generate now leads, like expired, FSBOs, and referrals. Okay, but that's good. You're on the right track. So that's first. You're generating high probabilities. The second is good follow-up. And the reason for good follow-up is because if you establish, I don't want to use the word pre-sell, but if you pre-frame who you are during your follow-up, that will make your listing presentation a lot easier, a lot more powerful. If you can establish that you're the expert, you're there to help them, you're the most logical choice throughout the follow-up, then by the time you sit down with the seller, it's just a matter of going through a good presentation. It makes things a lot easier. It makes it a lot harder if there is no follow-up or there's no pre-framing, no indoctrination on your skills and your personality, where you're starting from 0 with the seller. That makes everything a lot harder. Make sense?
It makes sense. I follow your advice. Anytime I went to an appointment, I always, presented as a high status agent. They like me, I'm saying, and yeah, they're happy.
Excellent. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So good follow-up, and there are several components to good follow-up. One is frequency, because when they see your face over and over, when they hear your voice, when they get your texts, when they get your postcards, like my man Mike, I was showing this the other day, he sends these postcards all the time. Okay. And the information, I mean, yeah, people will throw it out, but the payload is right here. Exactly. He keeps his face in front of people all the time, so that by the time they meet with him, there's familiarity, there's more trust. Okay? So it's the frequency and the quality of your follow-up where you're not salesy. This is not about, look how fantastic I am and look how awesome I am and we're number one, all that bullshit. Nobody cares. Right. It's about being helpful, being connected, being authentic. So that's the second part to a good follow-up. And the third is you do pre-listing process before you meet with the seller. Again, to make your presentation easier. So what is the pre-listing process? First, and one of the most important ones, is you qualify the seller. Okay. Because you want to make sure that when you sit down with them, they're your right prospect. They're the right people you're talking to. Now, by right, I don't mean they're bad or their personality. I'm talking about where are they in the decision process. Because if they're ready to sell 6 months from now, then this is not a good investment of your time, and it's not a good investment of their time to spend, I don't know, an hour going over everything if they're not ready to make a decision. You can still provide lots of valuable information, but you're doing it in a follow-up. So you qualify them. And you qualify things like what is their core drive and emotion. It's important to understand what is it they're really trying to do. Okay. Connecting with them, making sure you understand this is who they are, this is what they're trying to do, and this is why. This is who they are, this is what they're trying to do, and here's why. Yeah. So you spend some time qualifying them.
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
Last month, I was using your scripts for FSBOs. I got an appointment easy. I went there, and it was an implantation. He listed the house at like $699, and I said I don't want to pay a 3% commission, so I'm able to pay flat fee, like $10,000 if you want it. Okay, we got a deal. I said, okay, I got to talk with my broker and see. I don't have to say no immediately. I got to talk to my and see what we can do for you. We can help you sell it.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit hard. So I'm saying to take it flat fee $10,000. So and then I'm following up with it.
You keep in touch with them. Yeah. Sometimes, especially working for sell by owners, you will encounter sellers who are bargain hunters. Those are people who go through the big bargain bin in Walmart. They're in Walmart to begin with, and they're looking for the best deals, the cheap deals, you know?
Right.
There are times you can convert them, and they can see the benefit of hiring a high-status professional and paying the rate, and some won't. But because you have high probability leads, the funnel is always full, the pipe is always full. If one of them is a dick, so what? Thank you very much, good luck, keep in touch if you want to, move on to the next one.
Right.
Okay?
And he kept calling me. Yeah, he kept calling me.
Keep in touch. But it's cool that you stick to your guns. Because I've discounted my commission before. I did it, especially at the beginning where I felt like I'm trading or they're giving me an opportunity to work with them even though I don't have the experience, so I'm going to give them a good deal. That's the trade-off.
Yes.
But down the road, when somebody harped me and I kind of cave in and I gave them the deal, I always regretted it. They always turn out to be a deal from hell or a client from hell. It was never worth it. So I didn't do it. But it depends on your business model. So you qualify them. Through the qualification, several things happen. One, of course, you gain understanding and clarity, which is super important. Where you're clear how motivated they are. Why are they really moving? It's not about a bigger house or a smaller house. There's way more going on there. And you as an expert need to understand, just like when you go to a doctor, something is hurting, right? They would do x-rays, they would do examination, they would ask you questions, same thing. So you get clarity, but there's a second benefit to it. They get clarity. Because I would rather spend 10 minutes on the phone with them chatting where at the end they go, you know what? I don't think we want to do this, or we're not ready, or whatever. I would rather do that than prepare the CMA, prepare the presentation, spend the time presenting, talking to them.
Yes.
And they arrive at the same conclusion. You know what I mean?
I got you.
The next reason you want to do that is you start establishing, I'm the expert here, I'm going to lead this, I'm the high status agent in control here. Because if they are difficult, whether it's their personality or they're just scared, you want to establish from the beginning, they hire you to get this done. You're in this together, you work as a team, but you're in charge, you drive. Okay? So spend some time qualifying, be clear. Agents get desperate because they don't have enough business, they don't produce enough high probability leads.
Right.
They get desperate, and then they go on these appointments with these half-ass sellers who are not that motivated, not nice people, not ideal clients. Make sense so far?
So far, it makes sense.
Okay, so in the Presentation Plus, you have that entire checklist, the outline, what questions to ask. There's a video you watch, how to do the pre-qualification. Spend about 10 minutes with them. They will appreciate it as well, and here's why. We as humans have one of the basic core needs, especially in this kind of situation, and that need is to be heard. They want to be heard and understood. They want to make sure that you get them.
Yes.
Because so many salespeople do nothing but recite sales scripts. They close them. They do all the shtick that they were trained in some bullshit training to do. And then they're surprised that people resist that. People push back. They get objections and all that.
Yes.
Not necessary. Just be cool. Be the one who really wants to understand. Just like a doctor would, just like a lawyer would, just like an accountant would, all these professionals. They ask you a bunch of questions, right? When you do your taxes, when you go for exams, same thing, okay?
Right.
So this is very important part. Do not skip it. Next is they're going to get your pre-listing materials. And this is the indoctrination part. This is the part where you start setting up a frame. Not setting it up, it's already set up, but this is where you reaffirm your status, your positioning, the information they need to have in advance, all that you're going to get front-loaded. So you're going to put together a little pre-listing packet. Doesn't need to be too fancy, but it does need to have a few elements. One is that brochure or the big resume, one of the two. Either one works. You have both if you have the Presentation Plus.
Right.
The second thing you're going to put there is a little market overview. This is not the actual CMA, but it is kind of a snapshot of what's going on in the neighborhood.
Yes.
Some of your marketing pieces, the letter that comes with the system, you're going to put together, they get it in advance.
Okay.
Once you have the pre-list, the final step before you see them is you confirm the appointment, or preferably your staff does. You have your assistant call and say, hey, William is looking forward to meeting you tomorrow, just wanted to confirm the appointment. Okay?
Right.
So this is the first phase. This is where the foundation is established. If you do this right, you're halfway there.
Okay.
Because at that point, if they're still taking the steps with you, they're already pre-sold on you. There's already trust. Because if you look at it from the other perspective, if they completely don't trust you, if they hate you, if they don't like you, or if they don't want to move, they will stop the process. In most cases, they have no need to go through all this if moving and living somewhere doesn't matter to them. Okay?
Right.
All right. So now you're going to prepare the CMA, you're going to prepare the presentation. Do you use laptop or do you use iPad? How do you present now?
I use laptop.
Use laptop. Fantastic. So you're going to load it up on the laptop. You're going to customize it, or your staff will do it. You're going to run through it. It's ready. Then you're going to meet with the seller. Now, there are a few rules that make good presentation good. First one is you establish time constraint. And if you watch the video of me doing the presentation, it's one of the first things I say. I'm glad I found the time to meet with you today. I have about 30 minutes to chat. I'll answer all your questions. Then I'll be out of here at 4:45. Very important to open with that.
Okay.
Because one of the first things they worry about, no matter how much they like you, is that you're going to waste a lot of their time. That the presentation will be boring and they will have no way to get out. This removes that fear. That's one. And two, it shows them that you're busy. Number two. And number three, it shows you respect their time.
Definitely.
Okay? So you start with that. If you haven't seen the house, which you should have, but if you haven't, they do a quick walkthrough, confirm the questions. Why are they moving? Where are they going to? All that in a conversational format. And then you sit down with them.
Okay.
Now, I recommend do the presentation in your office, especially if you've seen the house.
Okay.
But that's an advanced strategy. Don't start there, move to there. Okay?
Okay. Right.
The actual presentation is nothing but a conversation. That is the most important piece I can give you. The agents who flip through charts or who go through slide by slide just talking are screwed.
Okay.
It's the wrong way to do it. Think about it this way. Good presentation is, can you see it down here if I draw down here?
I see perfectly, yes.
Okay, good. So picture this as an intersection. Okay? And you have car here, and then you have a car here.
Okay.
So first, this car has a green light, and they go. And after a while, this car gets a green light and goes. This guy stops. And then this guy gets a red light, and this guy goes.
Right.
What happens if this is the only green light, and this is always a red light? These guys go bonkers. They want to go. They can't. They're stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Your presentation works the same way. You talk a little, they talk a little. You talk a little, they talk a little.
Right.
Okay? It needs to be a two-way communication where you ask questions, you engage, you clarify. Just like you and I talking right now. Imagine that for 30 minutes I would just go, yep, 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 yep. No matter how good and interesting that would be, after a while it would be just like tuning out.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
So think about it this way. You have a conversation. It's a two-way communication.
Yeah.
And it makes it more fun. It makes it more authentic.
Right.
So when you, and one of the strategies and techniques I'm going to give you, we can skip forward. How do you get good at this? A couple things you can do. One, you're going to get, let's see if I have one here. I do. Get one of these bad boys if you don't have one. It's a little pocket digital recorder.
Okay.
Okay? Just record yourself. When
I
you
got
practice,
Yeah.
you have.
Yeah, I got one.
Dude, you're on the ball. Look at you.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Plus, I got an app in my phone.
Good.
Yeah.
The second thing I would suggest is, are you married?
No.
Okay. Take a good friend and say, look, I want to get down this. This is important. I need to be a good presenter. I need to have a good listing presentation. I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Sit down with me for half an hour. Let me go through it. Let's pretend you want to sell your house. Then what you're going to do is either take your iPhone or take a video camera and record yourself on video. Because so much of your communication and your presentation is nonverbal. Your eye contact, your gestures, your body language, your posture, your breathing, your overall expressions, your energy all have a huge impact on how you're perceived by your prospects. Okay?
Right.
So record yourself and do it a few times, practice it a few times.
Yes. For instance, last week I went to a feasible appointment. I listened to advice. I was watching, the prospect and fixed in the eyes. And then he gets shine on me. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't look at me. Oh, yeah, I got him. I'm following up with him.
Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
You will start getting good at the way you communicate, meaning how you present, but also observe the people you're talking to.
Yes.
You will be, just like you already are, more in tune to how their body reacts, how they respond. That's so important, because sometimes throughout the presentation, you may start losing them. And being so sensitive and so in tune to their reactions and their state will help you do simple things like you tap them a little. Like that's one of the techniques I would do, kind of bring them back. Or I would do something funny, say something. Like notice when I do it in my videos, sometimes I do this.
Right.
It's one of those techniques to bring the audience back. So you're going to learn, you crack a joke, or you simply say, it seems like you guys are ready to go. Maybe I don't need to go through the rest of it. And you can wrap up. I had presentations I would wrap up in 10 minutes. There was so much trust. There was so much connection, and there was so much desire for them to move.
Yes.
I don't need to do the whole thing. I would just say, well, let's talk about price real quick, get the paperwork out, let's get going. And they're like, yeah, that's great, that's great. Okay?
Yes.
So your actual presentation is an interaction. You're going to go through it. It is the point of the presentation is not to tell them all 174 things you're going to do to get the house sold. That's not a presentation. That's torture. You want to give them enough to demonstrate your capabilities, your expertise, that they're in good hands. That's the whole only point. Besides, think about it this way. They have no clue what's going to sell the house, how the house is going to get sold.
Right.
They don't know, and in most cases, they don't care. If they cared so much, they would get their own license. You know what I mean? It's your job. What you want to demonstrate is just enough for them to go, William is a good guy. We can trust him. He's going to get the job done. So you give them enough. Now, you can shorten them, meaning you don't show them enough, and then they start doubting your abilities. Your presentation expertise is knowing how much do you going to give them, how much information they need. And some of it will just come from body language and their feedback, okay? So that's the part. Then you go into what needs to happen, and that's important because you want to actively involve them in the entire process. They're going to have some repairs done. They're going to have some cleaning done. There are certain things that they need to do to make that connection as a team.
Right.
Where it's not all on you, it's not all of them, we're in this together. Which will remove that antagonistic pressure that many agents experience on a listing presentation. It's me versus you. Come on, let's bring it on. I have a rebuttal to that. Watch me. Not necessary. It's too hard. Rather than saying, hey, look, we're in this together. You have a goal. Let's figure out if we like each other, if we trust each other, if we want to work together, and if we can make your dream come true.
Definitely.
That's the whole approach. Okay? So you go through it. Then you go through pricing. Now, the pitfall of pricing is too much. So many agents screw up thinking, well, if I just give them all the information, they're going to logically arrive at the same conclusion that the house is worth $600,000. Logically. And logically, that would make sense, except people don't make logical decisions. Otherwise, you would finish presentation, hand them a pen, they sign, and you walk out. When was the last time that happened?
Not easy.
Never, right? There's always, our house is better, we need more, we paid this much, the house down the street. You have all kinds of stuff going on in their head.
Yes.
Why is that? Because they don't make logical decisions. They make emotional decisions. They're not logical, okay? So when you talk about pricing, less is more. Don't overload them with too much information. Give them relevant information about comps in the area. Don't overdo it.
Okay.
Pick a few properties that are relevant. Explain to them why they're relevant and how they compare to theirs and what that means to them. That's the important part.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
in your idea, how many houses should I choose for?
In your CMA, excellent questions. As many as it takes to demonstrate what their house should be priced at. My experience, 3 to 5.
Okay.
I would pick 3 to 5 actives and 3 to 5 pendings and 3 to 5 solds. That's it.
Okay. Perfect.
And I would also show them a list of expired, saying, look, some people screwed up. Either the property was not marketed right and or it was not priced right. This is where you end up if that happens. This is the shit list. Then I would show them a big old list of all the expired listings. And I would explain to them why that's a bad deal. Because if the house goes back on the market and back on the market, buyers get suspicious, and there are all kinds of pitfalls. Okay? Now, the most important element of pricing is the strategy I teach you in the Presentation Plus, and that's the emotional decoupling. See, the reason they make an emotional decision is very often they're emotionally attached to the house. They still treat it as a home. It's not a commodity. It's not like Bitcoin. It's not like their car. It's their home. It's their investment. It's their future. They have all kinds of emotional attachments. You, as a surgeon, need to go whoosh, and cut that. They need to start looking at it as a property, as an object that has a very specific price tag.
Got it.
Okay? And you explain to them, look, you want to know what the house is worth. We're not here to talk about what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
It may be worth millions of dollars to you with all the memories and all the stuff that you put into it, not just material stuff, but your life is here. That's a home. By the time you move out, it's going to be a house, a property. It's going to have walls and windows. It's going to be empty space. It won't be until the buyer moves in that's going to turn into a home. But the difference is this. It is not what it's worth. That's a very subjective, very personal thing that I don't know. What we're here to determine today is what is the most a buyer would be willing to pay for a property. And that has a very specific price tag. And by going through this process, I'm going to show you exactly what it is.
Okay, great.
You walk them through it. Your task is to demonstrate to them that they don't set the price. And this is hard. This is not easy to do.
Okay.
But the bottom line is, who sets the price?
The buyers and the bank.
Exactly.
Right.
Only the buyer and the bank. That's it. You don't control the price. The other agent doesn't control the price. The seller doesn't. The only decision seller has to make is, whatever the buyer is willing to pay, am I willing to accept that? And if I counter, would the buyer accept that? But again, it's the buyer at the end who's going to say yeah or nay. That's it.
Right.
So you do this with compassion. This is not about being an asshole and say, the fuck is wrong with you? You don't set the price. No, that's not going to get you very far.
Yeah.
This is more about being understanding and compassionate. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Most of these sellers, it's not that they're stupid, but this is such a new territory. To most of them, you do it with heart. You do it with kindness, but also with authority.
Yes.
Because the worst service you can do for them is misguide them and mislead them by overpricing the property. That's the worst. Okay? So you go through the pricing, don't spend too much time on it, don't overthink it, don't turn it into a bigger problem than it is.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
Then you present to them in a very clear format. That's why you have those big circles in the presentation plus. This is what the list price should be. This is what the sales price will be. That's it. You give them a definite answer. That's what they need. Where again, many average agents totally fumble is they give them these ranges and this very vague. Why? Because they're afraid.
Okay.
They're afraid to lose the listing, and they're afraid that if they tell the seller the truth, the seller says, no, we're going to list with Joe down the street. He told us we can get 50,000 more.
Right.
Have you ever lost a listing like that?
Basically, no.
No. Okay, good. Good for you.
Yeah, 2 months ago, I went to a listing appointment, but the seller wanted to pay like 4% commission.
Okay.
And top of it, after I presented him the the listing price, and then he said, "No, I want like $100,000 as my benefit, so he can be happy like that." And then I let it go. I don't want to take a listing and then have it sit on the MLS and then couldn't sell, and then the commission was not appropriate. 4%, I didn't take it.
One of the best questions you can ask, William, in a situation like that, is you ask the seller, what if the house doesn't sell? What if we offer commission too low so that it's not going to happen? Or what if we put the price so high nobody's going to buy it? It is important for you to know, because if the seller says, well, no big deal, we can wait a year.
Okay.
You don't have a good seller.
Right. He was not motivated.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was not.
If they don't have a strong feeling like we need to sell this sucker because of something negative or something great, no point. What's the point of having a year listing? That's a torture, man. I would not want that. All right. So you go to the price, you go through it, you present it, and you say, okay, this is what it is. Based on that, you show them the net sheet. This is, of course, estimated. You make clear that these numbers will vary, but they will be in this ballpark, in this neighborhood. And then you simply ask, is that enough to get you that lovely home down there? What are your thoughts? And they say this, that. You answer their question and says, okay, great. Anything else before we move forward? Very simple question. Very simple. Don't overthink it. There will be some tension in the air. That's okay. Tension works for you. Tension is your tool. Because in their head, emotionally, they want a closure. They want to close this thing. And to get the closure, they have to sign the contract. Okay?
Yes.
So it's as simple as, let's move forward. Anything else? And they may have a question or two. What about this? What about that? That agent told us this. You address it in a simple way. You explain to them, well, either they lied to you, not a great agent to work for. They all use the same data. You logically see where you are. Or they didn't know the market. That means they're not very good expert when it comes to pricing. Again, probably not a good choice. My guess would be. I'm not here to tell you who to list with, but we all have the same data sources. So I don't know why they didn't tell you the truth. And you just present. Okay?
Yes.
The conclusion is this. Signing a contract with you is a logical conclusion of a good presentation. That's it. You don't need to do anything fancy, no fancy closes, no tricky questions, no this, that. None of that is necessary.
Yeah.
You simply say, let's move forward. Is there anything holding you back?
Yeah.
And if there is, address it. Because there are only two reasons why they won't list with you. Only two. One is motivation, the other one is trust. That's it. There is no other reason. Either selling is not important to them, and they can wait, and they can play games, and they can do all kinds of stuff. You've had prospects like that. Or they want to move, just not with you.
Right.
Something throughout this interaction didn't click. The issue is trust. And you, as a master communicator, need to decipher which one is it, motivation or trust, because you would address one very differently than the other. Because if they tell you, and you're clear they're telling you the truth, well, we can wait a couple of years. Not the end of it. We can stay. It's a nice house. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Good luck. Let's talk in 2 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
And you're out of there. If the issue is trust, you need to go back and figure out why. Where did the disjoint? Where did it get derailed? And fix that. Okay? Because those are two very different things. So you have to revisit the trust issue. Here's the problem with trust. If something got fucked up on the beginning, where at the beginning they started thinking, well, we really don't trust this guy. We really don't want to do business with him. We're just curious what price he's going to quote. It's almost impossible in many cases to fix it at the end.
Okay.
So the best thing you can do is be aware of it at the beginning. Don't go past go. Don't collect 500 until you're clear. We have enough trust and connection. We're honest with each other. We can move forward.
Okay.
Okay? Now, what if it happens at the end? I would simply say, you guys want to move? Yes or no? They say,
Yes.
yeah, we want to move. So now the question is, would you like me to help you? And be honest with me. If the answer is no, it's fine. I'm not going to go home and cry. Pattern interrupt with a humor.
Okay.
That releases a little bit of the tension. They're like, ha, 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 ha. Well, here's what we think. We got this other agent. Because now in their mind, they're comparing. They trust and like the other agent more than you. You want to get to the bottom of it. Why?
Okay.
But you need them to be honest and open with you. You don't want to just get a brush saying, we just need to think about it. Think about it this way. When sellers say we're going to think about it, do you really think that after dinner, they're going to open a bottle of wine, they're going to sit on the couch with a notepad and spend the next 60 minutes thinking about it?
Not really.
Do you think that's realistic? Not really. They already made a decision. It's just a matter of collecting enough evidence that supports that decision. Big difference. Has that ever happened to you?
I went to one 2 weeks ago, is what I'm saying, but that happened to me. He said he's waiting for the agent that's supposed to come tomorrow. So let's see what's going to happen.
Because think about it from another perspective. They want to move. They're motivated. They have core driving emotion, strong drive to live somewhere else. You went through the process and you did well. At the end, if they want to sell and if they like you and trust you, why would they say no?
Exactly.
It wouldn't make sense. They want to be somewhere else. They have an agent who they like and trust. They respect. They have the urgency. Let's sign it up. It's really that simple. Don't overthink any of this. No need to. It comes down to motivation and trust. And you can sometimes fix both. Sometimes the trust part can be a little tricky. But what I've found works best is just bring it out. And you can tell them, just tell me, be honest. If you absolutely hate me, if you don't want to work with me, if you don't trust me, it's cool. It's all cool.
Okay.
I'm not an ideal client. I'm not an ideal agent for everybody, and not everybody's my ideal client. So it's fine. But let's talk about it. Because now you know where you stand. What is it? And it's always fear. We're afraid we're going to hire the wrong agent. We're going to set the wrong price. We're going to pay too much as a commission. We're making a mistake. That's really what the fear is. And if you allow them to bring it out, if you allow them to express it, now there's something to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah?
I know, yeah.
All right. So that's the listing part. Now there's a post listing. Whether you get it or not doesn't matter. I mean, you want it. You want to get it. You want to do your best. You got to give it your A game. Really give it all you got, because that's where the money's on the table.
Yeah.
But what if you don't get it right away? Until the contract is signed, I would not give up that easily. Unless I'm convinced they really don't trust me. Yeah, I've had clients like that where we just don't click at all. There's just no chemistry, no connection, nothing. So I would just say, no, this is not going to work. But in other cases, where if it's really just they need some time to process, they need some time to really get their head straight and realize we like this guy, we trust him, let's go with it, I would treat them as a super high motivated prospect. That means they would get a thank you note, they would get a thank you package, a little basket or some flowers, or a little send out cards, gift, something to express my gratitude, to deepen the connection, and to keep in touch, to give them a chance, another chance, and another chance.
Yes.
Because sometimes they would say, you know, I don't think we're going to do this. 2 weeks later, we change our mind. You know,
Right.
like, what the fuck? You just, whatever, I'll take it. Okay?
Right.
Now, if you don't get it and they do list with somebody else, I would suggest to pick up the phone and say, congratulations, you picked a great company, great agent. I wish you best luck. Maybe I can even bring a buyer. But I'm just curious, what was it about the other agent? Would you, please be honest with me. I'm just trying to better myself, my presentation, my skills, and it would really help me if I could get some honest answers.
Exactly.
What are like 2 or 3 things you like more about the other agent? And they will tell you. It can be something like, well, he offered us a great deal. The commission, you guys both were great. He's a great agent. He will get the job done, but for a lot less. Nothing you can do that.
Okay.
Okay? There will be some that will get away. And sometimes, especially if money is important to them. And if you don't discount commission, if it's not part of your model, you're not going to get them all. Okay? So now, to master this stuff, the only way to get there quickly is practice this.
Okay.
There is no magic video you can watch or a magic book to read or any magic pill. Well, there are magic pills, but they will not make you a better presenter. Well, maybe. But practice this. Practice the phone call, the qualification call. Practice the first few minutes. Those are the most important ones. Because it's at the beginning where they start forming an opinion about you. And they do it unconsciously. It's not like they have a checklist and go, all right, William, let's see. Height, check, good, tall. We like a tall agent. Age, yes, good age, yes. We don't want it too young or too, you know, they don't do it that way.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, they process it very quickly and very quick. And they even evaluate stuff like the car you drive, the clothes you wear, the accessories, your hair, your teeth. Everything matters.
Yeah.
Your appearance matters. People judge books by covers. That's just, it's our nature. We're wired that way.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay?
Got it.
Questions?
Yeah, basically you say everything good, you know, in a clear, you know, way. So what I'm going to do, as you said, I'm going to do more practices. And
More what?
More practice.
Practice, yes.
Yeah.
That's really very,
Master.
very important.
Mm-hmm.
Is getting it to the point where you're confident, you're comfortable
Right.
with repetition. Just like sports. What sports do you like? What do you play?
I like basketball.
Basketball. Great example. So now imagine, how's your free throw?
Yeah, they're not that bad.
Okay, not bad, right? So now imagine if mine sucks, and we get on the court, and I say, William, you got to help me.
Mm-hmm.
I got the dribble down. I'm good at passing. Shooting is not bad. The jump is okay, but my free throw just sucks. I'm horrible at it. What do we do?
Yeah, we're going to walk together. I'm going to show you, you know.
You're going to show me first, and what's the second thing we're going to do?
Yeah, we're going to walk together.
And just repetition, right? You're going to say, okay, stand right here. Give me 10.
Oh, yeah.
And then I'll do 10, and they suck. And you say, no, you got to put your elbow like this. Your wrist is off. Your balance needs to be here. Let's go again. Right?
Yes.
Now, if I keep doing this, what will happen?
Yeah, you're going to be better.
No question about it.
Yeah.
Now, how fast I'm going to get better will depend on a couple of things. One, how well you're going to coach me, how patient you're going to be with my ass. That's one. And two, how much practice I'm going to put into it. That's it. Is there anything else that you feel like would matter?
No.
That's it. And just doing it and doing it. And you tell me, okay, every day you're going to do 50 of these. And then in a month, you're going to be much better at free throws. That's it.
Yeah.
True?
Sure.
Same thing here. This is no magic. This is no, you don't need any special voodoo skills. Nothing. Nothing. You don't. It's not important. What's important is practicing the right stuff.
Right.
You got the right stuff. You got to internalize and practice it because you're going to get confident and you're going to get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So that when the seller throws all kinds of curveballs at you, you'll be like, yeah, got that. I got that. I know what to do here. I know what to say here. I know what to ask there. And I know why they're asking that. So there's more and deeper understanding.
Right.
All right.
Gotcha.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Basically, so far so good. For our coaching session.
Yeah.
How many times can we chat?
Good question. I don't do like one-on-one coaching. Like this implementation session is the only time where we talk one-on-one. The reason for that is I believe that all the systems you get from me, plus this session, plus the resources you have way more information than you'll ever need to master this. Because like with the free throws, there comes a point where it's just a matter of practicing and doing it. But I am launching a new program in January where I'll take a group of people just like you, focused, determined, ambitious.
Okay.
And we're going to work together until I get you to do a listing a week. My goal is to have a group of agents do 50 listings in 50 weeks.
Okay.
And it's going to encompass everything. You know how, you heard me talk about my boot camp in the past, right?
Yes, I heard about it.
Okay, this is like the boot camp 2.0.
Okay.
It's going to be longer because it's going to take a little longer and it's going to require more than just the basic stuff to get you to that point. How long? That will be up to you. But it's going to be an ongoing coaching system where you will get lessons, you will get tools, you will get downloads, and you will have access to me. So the way the access part will work is we will do these, and I'm thinking probably twice a month. We're going to get on a system like this, Zoom, and everybody who wants to ask questions can come on video like you do now. They can type questions if they want, or they can call.
Okay.
And we can role place. I can help you. I can answer your questions. So you will have direct access to me throughout the whole process. Now, unlike any other coaching, you're not going to be locked into anything. You can stay as long as you want, or you can just try it and bail anytime. So it's not like a long-term commitment. You pay as you go. It's a monthly thing. And every month, we're going to tackle a different topic, from like mindset to scheduling, time management, communication, lead generation, different lead generation systems. With it, you will get all the systems as well, making stuff like videos, good promotional videos, so you stand out in your market, presentation like this stuff,
Okay.
all the way to the 50.
Okay.
Hiring the right staff, the right assistant, the right buyer's agent, building your team, growing your business.
Okay.
So that's what's coming. It's called The Path.
Okay.
And we're opening on January 29th. But the cool thing is because of it's all modules, you can jump in anytime, you can jump out anytime. You're not locked into anything. But if you like this kind of interaction, if you feel like it would help you, there'll be a lot of that.
Okay.
There'll be hot seats, and there'll be questions, Q&A sessions. There will be reviews of your marketing, reviews of your calls. There'll be all kinds of things that we're going to do to nudge you, to inspire you, and to push you.
Definitely. That would be great. Okay.
So I'd love to have you on board. It's going to be good. I've been working on it for a long time, preparing it. It's not your typical coaching where you just get somebody on the phone who yells at you because you're not doing enough calls.
Right.
That's not what we're going to do. Okay.
All right.
Are we good? Are we done?
Yeah, we are all good. And basically, so I'm going to order, some of the material that I need.
Okay.
Yeah, like the resume and the try for the resume. I'm going to order it.
Do it. Yeah. You can print it yourself if you want to, or get somebody on Fiverr do it. There are other alternatives. I don't want you to spend too much time fucking around with it because it can be a big time waster. Not waster, but you can invest a lot of time getting it done.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper and better investment of your time to get somebody to do it for you. You have two choices.
I want it to look like professional. So I'm saying.
You do. That's important. You don't want it to look like this was printed in my garage on a $30 inkjet printer. Yeah.
Right. I'll do that next week. Then, so I was waiting for our meeting before I proceed with those.
Do at least 20. Get those suckers ready, because it's nice to have them on standby. So when an appointment does come up, you have everything ready. You just insert the materials for that specific property, and boom, it goes out. But it's a nice first impression when the seller gets something in the mail before they meet you.
Yeah, so I want it like that. Yeah, planning, make it look like shitty stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good point, because even the quality of the paper and the print supports or contradicts the first impression you want to create.
Definitely.
And you want to be congruent, meaning if everything is high status and good quality, then everything needs to be high status.
Definitely.
Just like what screwed me up at the beginning is I would drive a shitty car, a beat-up car. Now, I know people would not list with somebody just because they drive a Lambo or a Mercedes. I get that. But you got to be as congruent as possible, because all these elements, including your resume, your car, your appearance, your clothes, all that matters.
All that matters. I know. I know. Right.
I mean, think about it. Imagine I show up here. My hair wouldn't be done. I would wear like an old T-shirt. You would still get good information. That wouldn't change. But your impression would be like, dude, I don't think it's that important to him.
Exactly.
What the fuck? Right?
Right.
You would not register it consciously, but subconsciously it would be a different impression.
Yeah.
Important. Congruency.
Appearances.
All right, Willie, my man. Keep me posted.
Okay.
If you have questions, just fire off an email, call me, call my office, let me know if I can help. And we'll see you on the path.